right, thank you. So we'll move on to item 7, introduce and conduct a first read of an ordinance clarifying the procedure for selecting the mayor and the mayor pro tem, Fountain Valley Municipal Code 2.04.200, and approve the ordinance for second reading. Presentation by City Attorney Burns.
Mr. Mayor, is it okay if I give the report from here, or would you like me to step down?
What's the pleasure of the council? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you're good there.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the proposed ordinance would eliminate an ambiguity in the Fountain Valley's current ordinance relating to the selection of mayor using a rotation system. The selection of mayor and mayor pro tem is a matter within the council's discretion. A few decades ago, the City Council established a rotation system for appointment to avoid the bickering and animosity that arose from the selection process. The rotation system was enacted to take the politics out of the process and to provide every council member an opportunity to serve a term as mayor. The rotation process worked fairly well and did foster harmonious council relations while providing every council member a chance to be mayor. Other cities in Orange County also adopted rotation policies. As currently written, the ordinance states that the council member who has served the longest since being mayor, or who had the longest service since the election, whichever is longer, should be the next mayor. The reference to the longest service since the election was probably for new council members who'd never been mayor. The way it worked in practice is the council member with the longest service since last being mayor became the mayor and then set up the rotation order. Recently, it's been suggested that the ordinance should actually be interpreted to mean that the tests are parallel tests. And if the person serving longest from the last election is a tie between two council members, and that's a longer period than the time since both had been mayor, that reference to the votes in the last council election must be made to see who had the highest vote count. And that person would be reset in the rotation order, and he or she might then leapfrog over the person who was in the previous rotation order. This was probably not the original intent, but it is unknown what the original intent was. In any event, the council has the absolute discretion to have the ordinance read any way that it wants to, but is also free to ignore the rotation order and make any appointment it wants. The ordinance is submitted for your consideration, and/or the council is free to direct any amendments that it may desire. Thank you.
I'm going to open the public hearing. Just a reminder that each person will have up to 3 minutes to speak on the item. Are there any requests to speak?
We have one request to speak. Katie Wright.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Attorney Burns, I'm sorry, but at the very beginning I couldn't hear part of what you were saying. When was this policy initially enacted? What year?
I'm not sure of the year, but it's probably 3 decades ago. It was probably in the 1980s. I was around when I think I wrote it, and I'm to blame for the ambiguity, but I can't tell you exactly when.
Close enough, thank you. So this policy has been around for decades, which was my understanding, and I haven't lived here forever, I haven't paid attention forever, but it has not seemed to be a source of rancor from what I've seen over the years that I've been paying attention. My question is, who is it that actually wants to change the policy? Which of you is the person that is pushing this agenda of possibly altering what's been working for decades? Raising of a hand would work. Obviously somebody is promoting this idea. I don't think Attorney Burns, either wonderful Attorney Burns, whom I respect and admire both, brought this up, pulled it out of their hat and thought, oh, I need a little attention tonight, I'll bring this up. No, I don't think so. It says staff recommends. Staff doesn't recommend things by pulling things out of their hat either. They are busy with their own jobs, their own agendas, their own protecting their P cards or whatever they're doing, which since we're getting such glowing reports on our finances, I don't worry about it. I trust that it's being attended. I have faith that the people in charge are paying attention. Someone brought it up. Someone generated this to be something to be put on the agenda. I'd like to know who.
This is an agendized item, so we're allowed to communicate with.
Yeah, I wanted to just check as a point of order, City Clerk, if a response is allowed.
You can-
Generally, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. Am I
Go.
overstepping as a city clerk?
Or maybe that's directed,
I was
sorry,
just gonna say,
City Attorney
generally,
Burns.
The council does not engage in cross-examination and allow itself to be cross-examined, but takes the questions and then writes them down and then responds as part of your discussion. You certainly have the freedom to engage in a little back and forth, but I'm just saying that it's not, the public does not cross-examine the city council.
So the question is which of the council has brought this forward? I
That was my
actually don't have an
question.
answer, so if a council member wants to step up.
I think to the point of Mr. Attorney is because you have a limit, you want to stop the clock. The reason for is any question you want to ask now. We'll take note and we'll respond back to your questions. So we
Is
don't
that
carry on
the
so we
standard
don't carry
policy
the dialogue.
that's
I
always
think
been in place? I don't know how many people actually ask a direct question. I know I've tried in the past, and sometimes I get an answer and sometimes I don't. And since no one's explained to me that the policy is that I cannot do that, no one's ever told me I can't do that, so I'm doing that. So
If it's a non-agendized item, we cannot communicate with you. There's been many times that I've communicated with somebody speaking on an agendized item to answer that question.
that's my understanding. What I will say is people do observe and create their own opinion. This looks like a solution looking for a problem. This has been an in-place situation for decades, possibly 3, without it being a problem. It would appear to those who have opinions that one person here wants to look really, really good when they're running for the next public office higher than Fountain Valley City Council, and they're trying to show that they can accomplish as much as they want, as they can, and gee, wouldn't it look great to get my turn again before the normal time that would routinely have shown up. That's the opinion of a lot of people paying attention, and I'll have you know, a lot of people are now paying attention. Thank you for allowing me to ask the question.
I have no other requests to speak.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Open questions for council.
Okay, to respond, thank you, Mayor. So to respond to your questions, who has brought this item up? It was I that brought this item up, and what I asked is for clarifications. So, Rick, could you please bring up the email that I shared with you earlier? All right, so here is the current policy, which was written like Mr. Attorney Alan Bernard said earlier, probably 3 decades ago. That's what, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? And if you read the items B1, office of mayors pro tem shall have 1-year term and shall be fulfilled in accordance with the following rotation procedure. Now, if you have council member who has the longest consecutive service since his or her last elections, last service as a mayor, whichever is longer, should become the mayor. This is how it's written in the code. Now, I want to ask my colleague here, Grandis. We both got on the city council in 2020. Is that correct?
Am I being cross-examined?
No. No, I mean, it's just, this is a fact to this point.
I think that could be
To this point.
stipulated.
It's a fact to relate to the point to this.
Yes.
We all know.
On advice of counsel, I refuse to answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Little humor.
Little humor. Yes, you are correct. In
Okay.
2020, I was elected as well as you, and I had the most votes in 2020 by
Perfect.
a lot.
Perfect. If he has more vote, recognize you have more vote. That is a
Is that a
reason.
high five you giving me?
Yeah. And that is the reason why he was ahead of me as the mayor, because people elect him, he has the most vote. That's according to this. So we have that consistency understanding, right? Now, so in the last election, which is in December, I said, wait a minute, that's the current code. But so I asked clarification for our city attorney. And let's read what he says. Clarification of the existing code per city attorney, Collenberg. I can only state that the intent of the section is provide the mayorship to the person who has the longest consecutive service since his/her last service as mayor, when all current council members have served as mayor. Right? Goes back to B, section 1. If you roll down to the next screen, please. So the rotation rules. The mayor is normally the council member who has gone the longest since the last elections and the last time they served as a mayor. Whichever of those two time period is longer. Now, in that case, look at December 2025. My colleague served 13 months. I served 13 months. 12 months as a mayor, his 12 months as mayor. So it goes to the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker says right there. Tiebreaker, what does it require? If two councilmen end up with the same amount of qualifying service time, then the tie is broken by looking at who received more vote in the most recent elections. Look on the bottom. Then subsection B2 applies. Tiebreaker. Election 2024, Glenn received 13,137. I received 14.
Thank you for your votes, by the way.
Of course. So the point I'm trying to make is want to keep a consistency in what we have, right? And this is what it also achieve what? The consistency with the will of the people, because that's how people vote. That's the will of the people. And the mayor election result get reshuffled of the order. That's what this code was applied. And I'm applying the same thing. So now when I spoke with Attorney Collin said, well, that was not the intent. Fine. If that's not the intent, that's fine. Then let's rewrite the code if that was not the intent. And that's what we hear. So to the question is, it has been working fine all this year. Well, guess what? Mr. Allen, what did you say earlier when I brought all this question? Wow, we didn't realize any of this until you brought up now, how the code is written. Because my interpretation analysis is correct based on the code was written, but it creates some issue, which is what we hear now. And if it was not the intent, then we must rewrite the code. If not, according to this code, this apply.
Okay. Other questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, I'd
Yes.
like to say a couple of things here. So when Councilmember Harper and I were elected in 2018, Councilmember Harper had more votes than I did, and of course he served as mayor before I did. We were both reelected in 2022, and at that time I did have more votes than Councilmember Harper. However, it would be Councilmember Harper who would be mayor before me, and I totally respect that. So moving on from that, the verbiage, the council member who has the proposed cleanup on this, the council member who has the longest consecutive council service since his or her last service as mayor should become the mayor. I'd like to clean that up even a little bit more. I don't like the pronoun. I don't like pronouns in general. In fact, I didn't want to be known as council member. I preferred councilman. So just for full clarification on that. So I'm proposing this read, the council member who has the longest consecutive council service since the council member's last service as mayor should become the mayor. Thank you.
Okay, so before we jump to the proposed, I just have a few questions. Unfortunately, I sent an email to our city attorney for clarifications for tonight, but he has a conflict of schedules. So I met up with Mr. Alan Byrne, and I had some questions for him, and I forwarded to him, and I want some clarifications for the public to understand. So my question would be, in terms of compliance explanations, can you provide an explanation of how the current or recent selection and term practice for mayor and mayor pro temp comply with the current section 2.04.200 in terms of compliance?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think the answer to that is that it's been interpreted to apply so that the last person serving as mayor, it was your last service as mayor, that's what counted. It puts you into a rotation procedure, and it's worked ever since, and it hasn't been questioned since then, and that's just the way it's worked. I don't think the city attorney's been much involved in it. It's just worked.
So if you're saying that, are you saying the application on the tiebreaker rules is incorrect on the
Oh, the
applications?
tiebreaker rules would come into play if there was a person who had never served as mayor and was just elected. You'd have to go to the tiebreaker rule and to see what the popular vote was in the election. So that's when that would come in.
And if both council member has served the same amount as mayorship, then what happened? Then when it goes to the next tiebreaker, which is who has the highest vote in the last election cycle according to the rule.
Okay, I'd like to jump in here just real quick.
But let the attorney explain. Why can't we allow him to?
It's your interpretation that's wrong. So if you look at this, even on the screen, 13 months, 12 months, they don't get a stopwatch and say, okay, you're going to stop being mayor. It's the year they're talking about. So if you look at this, it's the year 2025, not how many days since you were last mayor. You're interpreting it incorrectly. So if you look at this, we were both at 2025 at the same spot. It's all equal. Then it goes to who hasn't served the longest. And I have not, since the election only comes in if you both were never mayor before. So you're using a technicality saying, well, it was 13 months, that's greater than 12 months. So if it's 13 months, if they were both 12 months, then the election wouldn't come in. So you're playing the system. We've been doing this for 30 years. And it's unfortunate. I know you're newer to the city than most of us. I've been here for 46 years, and it's been done the same way for all those 46 years. And you're looking at this in a technical exception to try to game the system to move yourself ahead of me. You voted for Council Member or Vice Mayor Harper over Council Member Constantine. If you had an issue with this at the time, you wouldn't have done that.
Well,
it's self-serving what you're doing. So what I would like to do is, regardless of all this, let's clean it up. You're right. Let's clean it up. Let's make it so it's not that it's not subject to interpretation. I think all of us will agree that the intent of the way it's supposed to be. So let's just move on with this instead of figuring out what's wrong and what my technical, because it's 3 weeks, 4 days, 9 minutes, and 3 hours or whatever difference.
Let me ask you that. I want to ask the attorney, because he has a duty to explain if my explanation here to Councilmember Grandis, do you agree with his statement where he just said that my application is incorrect?
I think, not to dodge your question, but I think you can't unring the bell. We've had people that were mayor, there was an election system, and we've gotten to this point, and now if there's an issue, I thought you might, if you want to remove an ambiguity or clarify, this is the time to do it. Council has absolute authority to make anybody the mayor they want to make.
Thank you. So that just shut down to the point that you say that my interpretation is incorrect. No, it's not incorrect.
Yes.
He just told me.
No, you're again interpreting what he's saying incorrectly. He's saying this is the way it's been done in perpetuity for the last 30 years, and that's the way it should be. Who cares how we got here? Let's move on. Let's fix it. and let's move forward.
Once again, my point, I'm not saying, if that's not the intent, we need to change. But my point is, I'm trying to say, my intention is not incorrect, okay?
You're right, I'm wrong.
No,
let's
it's not
move forward.
incorrect.
You're right,
You have to-
you're
what is
right,
right is
you're right.
right. That's
You're
what I'm
right.
saying.
Let's fix it.
And
Okay, let's fix it. Let's move on.
Councilman
So-
Bowie, if you could wrap up thoughts.
okay, go ahead. You just
Well, I think just to kind of get us back on track for item 7, there's been language that's been proposed in a resolution. I think if you have comments on that language, let's submit that. This is a first reading.
Okay.
So we'll be able to put that language in there and bring it back for a
Well, I
second
think we
reading.
need to vote on this language. I would like to remove the word should. And it is, so just everybody's clear. If we come up to right now and we make a motion and a change of mayor and say, you know what, we want Councilmember Constantine to be mayor and 3 people vote for it, Councilmember Constantine's mayor. And when we come and do the rotation, if we want to change the rotation at that time, you can make a motion to change it. In 2016, I want to say, our Vice Mayor McCurdy was next in line. He refused to do certain things that the council requested of him to do, and they skipped him. And we have every right, when it's next to mayor's turn, if we don't want Vice Mayor Harper to be the next mayor, we don't have to have him. So it doesn't need the word should, because it's a policy, and policies are something that you go off of, but it's not a requirement. So all of this is really a waste of effort and time, but to make things so it's not, so you're right, this thing is ambiguous. I don't think it is, but you think it is. So I would like to make the motion to accept the verbiage that's there minus the word should, because that's already in place. It is a should, because it's a policy.
Well,
Okay, there's a motion.
sure.
Just
Mr.
to
Mayor?
clarify, Mr. Mayor.
So that's-
It said shall before, and it was changed to say should, because it's shall means you must, and should gives you the authority to do it
Actually-
or not to do it.
That makes sense. I'm good
Yeah.
with that. So I'll amend my motion, accept it as written.
Well,
I'll second. Mr.
Okay,
Mayor, really
now
quick.
open.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is a new public document, so is there a member of the public that would like a copy of this?
This hands
We've
loose.
had 2 that raise their hands. Yes.
so Ms.
I will get you copies shortly.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We're now back in discussion, so Councilwoman
Yes. So
Constantine?
I'd like to make a substitute motion, but I think, does the public really understand that, looking at the rotation, so like when I finished being mayor, then Councilmember Grandis was mayor, and then Councilmember Bowie was mayor. So it's technically what we're talking about, just for anybody wondering about the timing, it would be Councilmember Grandis who would have had the longest time of not being the, am I correct on this to explain it?
You are correct.
So hopefully everybody gets.
And you notice we play musical chairs up
Yeah.
here at the end of every year. We sit in the order of the rotation.
Yeah.
So I follow Councilmember Constantine. Last year I sat there, she sat here, she moves there. We do it so we don't make the mistake, because we might forget what the rotation is. So Councilmember Bowie, next year will sit here, he'll sit over there, and then if he's reelected, he'll become mayor.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a substitute verbiage with the verb, with the substitute motion on the verbiage here, to reflect the council member who has the longest consecutive council service since the council member's last service as mayor should become the mayor. And I'm seeking a second, please.
I'll go ahead and second that, but I want to go ahead and make, to the point my colleague is saying, remove the word shall to should. What's the difference? One of them is mandatory, one is advisory. Now be careful with the word should. I'm going to tell you why. That means that on this council, whatever the majority is going to be, that can make the change who's the next mayor. That's politics. Because it should, it's advisory. When shall, the system is rotate.
But we do rotation, and should would
But-
reflect that, not shall.
No, should is recommendations. Majority is that, let's say if it's his mayor, but the next council majority is going to be on the other aisle.
Right, however, Councilmember Grandis clarified it
It
with
should.
Attorney Burns, if I'm not mistaken, just like 10 minutes ago, asking about the should to shall, and was it not deemed that should is fine? Thank you.
Should is
So-
advisory.
Yes.
But we
Now,
still do-
if, hold on,
however-
just keep that
I got it
framework.
all, yeah.
Should is advisory. If this council is aligned to one side, and normally it should be you, but because this council, nope, we're going to skip because it's advisory.
You didn't even vote for me, but that's another thing.
My job is not,
I didn't even know, but okay, I'm just trying to get some humor.
but I'm just saying
All right.
that how you move forward and all council members understand moving forward.
That is correct.
Okay.
He's absolutely correct. At the next rotation, we do not have to put in the person in rotation. We
Right.
don't. It's a policy. It's not a
So
mandate.
if it's sided to one side, it's going to hurt.
It can happen. It's happened. Look at Huntington
all right.
Beach. The last
I'm
3
not
years
going
in
to-
Huntington
I'm not
Beach,
going to
they
degrade any
skipped the
city.
rotation.
I'm not to degrade any city, point out any city. I'm just saying, when you set a policy, you guys see the forward thinking, what other possibly can happen.
And you said the magic word. It's
Right.
a policy. It's not a law. It's not-
Okay, so the main motion has been set aside. We have a substitute motion. First
Shall we
moved
read-
by Councilwoman Constantine.
Can you explain the difference of what you said again? I didn't.
Well,
quite
sure,
follow.
absolutely, and I am keeping the should simply because should in theory means that while we do a rotation, that person would be the should. So let me start again. So my substitute motion is the council member who has the longest consecutive council service since the council member's last service as mayor should become the mayor.
Could we know where that is, and so we could follow what?
Well, no, I mean, I made,
Yeah,
I mean, it
it's
came
a
up
staff,
one-
staff report,
159.
page 163. It would be under,
Well, it's on 159 on my printed copy.
under 1. So it's toward the top. There's A, B section, and then 1 right after, and it's that sentence. The council member who has the longest
You
consecutive.
went too far, Rick.
Right.
Now, you went too far the other way now.
It is,
There
it's
you go.
page 161S,
That's
at
it.
204, 200, terminal select.
So Councilmember Constantine
Right
would
there.
like to remove his or her and replace it with the council member.
Just the
A
pronoun?
council member who has the longest consecutive council service since the council member's last service as mayor should become the mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's fine with me.
Okay.
And could I, Mr. Mayor, could I just
Yes.
clarify one thing that's a minor point, but I don't want to leave it unclarified.
Sure.
And that's that this is a law, but it's a law that establishes a policy. It gives a lot of discretion, but we're talking about a law. So you are enacting a law, but it's a policy that gives a lot of discretion and gives you the ability to do it or not do it.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect.
Thank you for that advice.
Yeah, thank you.
Any more discussion on the substitute motion?
Yeah, I think she did a, Councilmember Constantine did a second substitute motion, and I'll second it. Before we vote, I want to ask a clarification from our city attorney.
Regarding.
You have a problem?
Yes, I do. We've wasted so much time on this.
So you just want to shut my voice, not allowed to talk?
No.
Because it
please.
doesn't bother, because it bothers you?
No, please go ahead.
Councilman
right.
Boyd, please
I'm
ask your
sure- I'm
question.
sure
All right,
it's
thanks.
imperative.
Because he does it many times, not the first time he's doing it, and it's kind of irritating. So when we move this, it's for clarity and remove all the ambiguity, which is great. That's what we want moving forward. But if you could confirm that any amendment to the current policy on municipal code would operate prospectively only, and that action taken under the previous adopted policy or code provision remain valid and effective unless otherwise determined by law? Because you said it's a law.
It is a law.
That
So
is
I think
correct.
what you're saying is, well, let's do this now, but I'm still grandfathered in under this rule, and I'm going to be voted in before Grandis. Is that what you're saying?
I want the city attorney to explain what I just asked.
Nice try.
Because people will look at this, others attorney will look at it.
I think we're clarifying the law, and so you're basically restating the law, but you're saying we're not changing it. We're making it read how we think it should be operate and how it was operating, and some of the changes that are made are specifically state in the ordinance that they are in fact declaratory of existing law. So the intent here is not to change the system we have, but to clarify it in case anybody were to think there was an ambiguity.
All right. All right.
Okay.
That respond back to the legality of the law. Okay?
Okay. We'll call for the vote.
Item number 7 passes as amended.